Beautiful soul, have you ever wanted to speak to angels? Do you believe angels can support you in your daily life? If this is you, go onto my website, theangelmedium.com, and sign up for our email list. As a gift for signing up, I'm going to send you 31 healing meditations that if you do daily, they're going to help you tap into your angels and your own intuition. Start using these today and you'll start to see changes in 31 days. Now take a deep breath. Ask your angels to surround you with love, fill you with joy, infuse you with ease. And remember, your angels say that any messages that resonate with you in today's episode are meant just for you. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your host and author, Julie Jancius, and today we're here with Mary, who has some very special angel stories to share with us. Mary, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be with you one-on-one. I've been listening to your podcast, and this is just really exciting for me. I'm happy to share my stories.
Well, I'll have you take it away.
Sure. So just a little bit about me. I kind of feel like most of my life, I've always just kind of had this sense or this knowing of having a connection to like the spirit side or the other side and loved ones, and having a sense of like my grandpa that passed away, like, oh, grandpa's here with me in the car, like not really knowing why or what it was, but just getting these senses of being connected to the other side. And I've always loved angel stories. If I had books on angel stories, I just loved hearing other people's stories. And one of the things for me that I always connected to the other side was finding pennies. So anytime I would find a penny, for me, it meant that was a message just for me of like, hey, someone's here, someone's thinking of you, and just like a message that I wasn't alone, either a loved one or maybe just an angel or something. And I don't know why no one really ever told me about the pennies. It was just something for me that I knew was like my personal sign or whatever. So in 2017, the end of the year, my dad passed away. December 31st, 2017, he made it to the very end of the year. And so he had had cancer for about 18 months prior. And his passing was so peaceful. He was a very spiritual, religious, and faith-filled person. So when he passed, I think he knew, it was his time, and it made it an easy transition for all of us to see him go through the process so peacefully. And so a little bit more about my dad. Before he passed, my dad loved the beach. So I live in Southern California, grew up here. When I was a kid, we would go to the beach every summer. My mom would take me and my brother and sister for day trips to the beach. And every year my parents would rent a beach house for a week. So even though the beach was only 30 minutes from where we lived, that was like our vacation. We would drive our 30 minutes to the beach. We'd go to this beach house, nothing fancy, sand and just like a mess. But we had the best memories of going there. We stayed for the week at Newport Beach. So my dad loved the water. He was always bodyboarding. It's just something that I'll always remember about my dad. So he passed away in December. So that first summer, after he had passed away, we went to the beach. Oh, and just to back up a little bit, my parents loved the beach so much that they ended up buying a house at the beach. So when I was a kid, we lived 30 minutes from the beach, but my parents ended up selling our house and they moved like within walking distance to the beach. You would just walk out, cross the street, and you could go to the beach. So that first summer after he passed, I was at my mom's house. So my parents' house at the beach. I had my 3 kids with me and we walked out across the street, went to the beach. At the time, my daughter was 5. So for her going in the ocean, she didn't want to go out too far in the ocean. So we would stand at the shore, she and I, like holding hands, and, the waves would come and they would just wash up maybe shin height, ankle height, just playing right there in the like white water of the waves. And she would jump and laugh and play. And I don't know, like if you, at the beach, if you stand like that in the water and the waves wash up and down and up and down, if you don't move, your feet will eventually like start to bury in the sand a little bit, just with the motion of the waves, like moving the sand. So if you stand there long enough, you can look down and eventually you'll be like buried up to your ankles. So that was one of the things like we would do. Would just stand there with her and like, are our feet getting buried? What's going on or whatever. So we were standing there and one of the waves comes up, washes about shin height, washes out. So we're still standing in the shallow water. So we look down to see, did we bury our feet? I look down right next to my foot, my right foot, right between my daughter and I, because we were holding hands, was a penny on the sand, in the water, but sitting right on top of the sand, and like a new penny, fresh, shiny. I mean, it was like, I felt it was like my dad saying, like, you can't miss this one. Okay, this is like shining at you right next to your foot. So I picked up that penny and I was like, oh, this is from my dad. Like, it's just been 6 months. It was our first summer without him. We were at his beach with my kids, with my mom. So I told him, this grandpa sent us a penny. This is a penny from grandpa. And then to my mom, dad gave us a penny, and they just kind of roll their eyes at me a little bit. My kids know like my thing with angels and pennies, like, okay, mom, that's cool. But for me, it was just like validation. Like, for sure, to me, it was just such a strong sign that he was still there, and that it was just kind of like his way of letting me know that he'll always be around. I just like love that memory of that penny, because I would find them, before, like in a parking lot, and it's like, oh, maybe someone dropped their penny. But I was like, who dropped their penny in the ocean? Like with the waves, like the wave, like washed the penny up for me, basically, is what it felt like.
Amazing.
So yeah, so it was just such a good memory and such a good reminder,
Yeah.
So
well, it's so fun to feel their presence too, like where they would have loved to be. Like, I remember after my dad passed, we do the same thing, but we live in Chicago, so we have to go down to Florida to visit the beach or, a different part of the country. And when we go down, sometimes I'll rent a jet ski for an hour, because I loved how my dad would teach me how to do things, and he would love to get on a jet ski and just kind of tear it up out in the waves. But I could feel his presence so much. And sometimes when you feel their presence, just like that day when you found the penny, presence to me feels like they're giving you this huge warm hug. And it's so comforting to feel their presence. So I don't know if you felt that day. But for anybody listening, when you're kind of doing different activities and you feel their presence or you get that sign, allow yourself to just feel that warm hug from spirit, from your loved ones, or even from your angels. It brings us and fills us with a peace like none other.
Yes, I agree. That was what it was for me. And then it's just such a nice memory to look back on and just always know. Because, sometimes I don't get those pennies, and sometimes I don't feel that, you just go about your life. But that story and that just looking down and just seeing that penny there in the water, right on top of the sand. I mean, it wasn't even partially buried. It was just so clear for me. I'm like, that is for me, to always remember that and always feel that. So I definitely agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's great.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know you have another angel
I
story. I'm going to
do.
let you tell that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have another one, and this one is associated with the beach too. I realized when I was thinking of
Yay.
my stories, I was like, oh, they both have to do with the beach.
Perfect for the summer.
Yes, yes. So this one's going back to when I was 13. So my birthday is in June, so like right at the start of summer. So when I was 13, my parents for my birthday had given me a ring. I don't even think I had asked for a ring. I'm not sure why they gave me a ring, but it was just this little gold ring, really simple. It had a little rose with little green leaves, all gold. So it was like colored gold, like the rose was like a pink gold and then the leaves were green. And so I, being 13, wore that ring all summer. Just love that ring. Well, so that summer, my aunt and uncle had rented a beach house at the same beach at Newport Beach in California. And so my mom was like, okay, your aunt and uncle have a beach house this week. We're going to go down there and visit them. So we drove down there, went to their beach house, walked out to the sand, got all our stuff set up, our towels, chairs, food, and all that. And I remember eating watermelon and having the watermelon rinds, like laying out there on the sand with us. And then, going in the water and just hanging out with my family and my cousins. And so being 13, after coming out of the water, I was like, oh, I'm going to lay out, I'm going to get a tan, I'm going to dry off. And for whatever reason, I laid on my towel and I thought, my ring, I don't want to get a tan line for whatever reason, right? For whatever, this tiny ring that probably was not going to leave me a tan line. Well, I don't want a tan line from my ring. So I took my ring off.
No.
And yes. And I laid it on the towel right next to me as I was just laying there. I probably fell asleep or whatever, So took it off. Then we go about the rest of the day. It's time to leave. So packing everything up, packing up all our chairs, like all the sand toys, food, trash, grab the towels, shake everything out, pack it up, go back to their beach house. We stayed there for a little bit longer that night and then drove home. Well, it's not until I got home that I realized my ring. I had totally forgotten about it and it was gone. I'm sure we shook out the towels. I don't know. It just flew off, I'm sure. But I was absolutely devastated.
Yeah.
Devastated. I remember going into the bathroom that night and just crying, like hysterically. And I'm not like a super emotional crying type of person or a kid, but for whatever reason, losing that ring, just like I couldn't handle. I was like, I can't believe I think I was mad at myself for taking it off. I was so sad to have lost it. So I was in the bathroom hysterically crying and praying, please help me find my ring. I want my ring. Talking to my mom, and then my mom was like, what is wrong with you? My ring. And she was like, okay, well, your aunt and uncle are there for a week. We're planning to go back. We're going to go back and see them in like 2 or 3 days. So I'm sure just to calm me down, she was like, we'll go and we'll look for your ring in 2 or 3 days at the beach. So I was like, okay, good. So calm me down, right, for the night. Make it through the night, make it through the next few days. And we do. So 2 or maybe 3 days later, we go back to their beach house. And my mom's like, okay, like we're here. When we get out to the sand, fine, to make you feel better, we'll look for your ring.
Friend, if the idea of connecting to your angels and changing your life using your very own spiritual gifts sounds amazing and is deeply resonating with you today, I want you to go on my website and check out my angel membership. Registration is open. Sign up today and you'll get access to new course content and events each week and a private community. Members love how everything you need for your spiritual awakening is all in one place. Sign up today, Angel membership. It's incredibly healing. Also, the winner of this month's free reading with me is in the show notes below. Leave a 5-star positive review of my podcast or book, and you could be next month's winner. Lastly, check out the upcoming events page on my website, theangelmedium.com, because we have a lot of upcoming events that I know you're going to be interested in.
But part of me was like, well, how are we we'd have to know exactly where we sat. Like, how's this going to work? So we walk out there, and for whatever reason, 3 days later, our watermelon rinds were still there, which is unusual because at least here, the lifeguard jeeps patrol, go back and forth. And then at least back then when I was a kid, there would be like a, almost like a trash sweep kind of thing that would sweep the sand, like later in the afternoon. And so, but for whatever reason, those watermelon rinds were still sitting right on the sand. So we knew, we're like, okay, this is where we sat. We knew exactly where to go. So my mom's like, well, that's a good sign. At least we're looking in the right place, right? So we go over to the watermelon rinds and we're looking around, and I can see the tire tracks from the lifeguard jeeps that had driven by, like basically driven kind of right through where we had been sitting. So my mom was like, well, if their jeeps drove through here, if your ring was here, it probably got ran over, but we'll just look. So we're standing there. I'll never forget. So my mom is standing there and she just looks straight down between her feet, sitting on top of the sand. Between her feet is my ring.
Stop it.
Yeah, like not buried, like perfectly. It was like someone had taken it and set it on the top of the sand, and it literally was between her 2 feet. So she just like looked down and she goes, here's your ring. And I was like, what? And right next to the ring, like an inch or two away, were those tire tracks from the Jeep. So like it didn't get run over. So anyways, the watermelon rind still being there. And literally all she had to do was look down. Like we didn't have to dig. We didn't have to do anything. She just looked down and it was sitting right there on the top of the sand. So for me, that story for me was just like this proof that there are bigger things sometimes in your life that you just don't know what's working behind the scenes, and that things can happen like that. And just to believe and have faith in like the possibility for things like that to happen in your life. Because when you drop something in the sand, you can like watch it drop and still not be able to find it. Like even if you dropped it and you knew exactly where it was, just the way the sand is, things just like shift and sift in there. So the fact that that ring 3 days later was just sitting right on top of the sand, I know like there was more at play there. So that was like my most profound angel story at 13. At a young age is something I always can go back to and be like, okay, remember that story, have faith, believe there are other factors. There is this connection. There is more to life than just here, So, that story was just like really meaningful to me. So not necessarily associated with my dad, that one, but interesting actually, now that I'm thinking about it and telling the stories, the both beach stories and both like an item perched just like perfectly on top of the sand for me to find. So
unbelievable.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
angels will help us find lost things. And that's not the first time that I've heard something like that. I heard a story once, and I think it's by, I'm trying to look for the book. I can't find it, but this woman was talking about how she was outside. She was trying to help her husband, like, rake up all the leaves, and she's raking the leaves and she's raking all these piles. And her girlfriend comes over, just kind of like stops by, maybe a neighbor or something. And she looks down and realizes her ring isn't on her finger. Like, she's lost it as she's been raking these leaves. And so she said her girlfriend came over and prayed with her for a couple of minutes. And she goes, her girlfriend then just got up, walked over to this place, reached down into one of the pile of leaves and pulled up the ring. And she was
Wow.
like, what just happened?
That's like my story. It was kind of like, what just like, what is happening right now? Right? Yeah, but
Yes.
so cool. So cool.
Yeah, we have to have that faith. We have to have that hope. We have to believe. And so, I love that. Thank you so much, Mary, for coming on the
You're
show
welcome.
and sharing that story.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm happy to share them. Those were my like two big things. Yeah, I feel like a lot of my life I have little things like that happen, and like always knowing, having like a strong connection to my intuition and trusting my gut, and like looking back on my life and realizing how when I did do that and trust my gut, like things always tend to work out, even if they didn't seem like it at the time, but yeah. So I really like just kind of knowing that I have that, or that there is that connection, So sometimes it's hard to remember it, right? Like depending on what's going on in life. But so those stories remind me of that, though. Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing them with our audience. If you're listening right now and you have an angel story that you want to share with us, please submit it. You can go to theangelmedium.com and submit your angel story, and then we can reach out to you to have you on the show. Thank you, Mary, so much for your time today. I so appreciate spending this time with you.
Oh, you're welcome. It was fun. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Beautiful soul, thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Julie. You know I'm all about connecting you with messages from your angels and loved ones on the other side. If you've been listening today and you're super excited and just have to know which angels are sitting around you now, who's connecting with you, and how they're supporting you, go to theangelmedium.com. Register for a virtual session. You can do a reading with me or a member on my team. We're all incredible. We all talk to angels daily, and we can help you in making sure that your angels are doing the best they can to support you and guiding you to the life you want to live. Virtual sessions, they're only offered on my website, never offered on social media, only offered on theangelmedium.com. Sign up today. And if you're the person who's really excited, you're ready to go all in developing your unique spiritual gifts, growing your intuition, starting your own healing business, you can sign up for my Angel Reiki School to become a certified angel messenger. That's for the healers among us who feel called to grow their intuition to the max and serve humanity with their gifts. You'll learn energy healing, mediumship, how to deliver angel messages, and business mastery skills. That's the Angel Reiki School. You can find more information on theangelmedium.com or DM me over on Instagram at Angel Podcast with any questions you have. Friends, before you go, connect with your angels by placing your hand on your heart, taking a deep breath. Imagine a doorway filled with God's unconditional love in front of you. I want you to step into that love in front of you. And I want you to feel it as it fills your body, your chakras, and your auric field. Now ask your angels, what would you have me know today? And open yourself to the positive, loving messages they have just for you.